welcome to the stage, Marcus djWHEAT Graham.
Good morning. Welcome to Twitchcon 2015. I didn't know how I would be in this exact moment when I came out on stage. So many people have poured their hearts, their souls, all of that purple blood that they have in their veins into this event. And that's not only been the people at Twitch, but it's also been all the ideas, all the suggestions, all the feedback that we've heard from you guys. And it is overwhelming and amazing to think that we are here in San Francisco right this moment, and all of you people out here, like, I can't say enough from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you. So I will apologize in advance. You know, there's one thing that every single employee, and probably many of you that have known me for a long time will tell you, is that I like have passion pouring out of my body. Sometimes it makes people really annoyed. They can't handle the amount of passion. And I'm sorry, especially to all the employees. I'm Ernest. Sorry, Ernest. But you know, like, that to me is a lot of what TwitchCon is all about. The fact that you guys are willing to make the trip out to San Francisco to meet your favorite broadcasters, to learn about bettering yourself as a broadcaster on Twitch. The passion comes from you guys as well, and I just want to say thank you, because I feed off of that, and I hope that you guys feed off of each other's passion as well. So the other thing too is, if you've ever heard me talk, and again, this annoys a lot of people, I like to talk about the past. And I haven't always been keen on history. In fact, during school, I hated history. I thought it was garbage. I was like, why do we learn this stuff? But then when stuff became important to me, that's when I realized how important history is. And so today, I want to talk a little bit about the past. And I want to talk about the past. Right. So, I stand before you for the next few minutes, you know, not only as a Twitch employee, but more importantly as, you know, someone for the last 15 years who has dedicated everything that they have into interactive live media. And, you know, for me, this is something that happened a long time ago, and I want to tell you guys this story because I think that many of you will relate to it on lots of different levels, but I also want you to know just how far back this all goes. And, you know, like, I think my old gray man self can probably convince you that I'm old, but just in case, I brought a few pictures for us to look at. There we go. 2002, the first time I ever left the United States was to go commentate a tournament in Daejeon, South Korea for the World Cyber Games 2002. I was a young, spry man back then. A year later, changed the hairstyle a little bit. Also in Seoul, South Korea. Still debatable on whether or not that haircut should have been left in the 90s or not. It's not what we're here to discuss. And then 2004, when I was like, you know, in my anime phase. And you know, between 2005 and 2015, I haven't changed all that much, just a little bit more gray hair. But when did broadcasting begin? You know, a lot of people, you might even heard me say this before, I call them 09ers. They're the people who are like, yeah, broadcasting began in 09. Yeah, you might be able to argue that a little bit, but I don't think broadcasting really began there. So 2007, when a lot of like the early internet services were coming out, is that, you know, when it started? Again, I think we can go back even earlier. 1999, for me, yeah, that's when broadcasting began, maybe. Well, you could argue that traditional television, radio, and all the other forms of communications that we had in the early 20th century were kind of leading us into what would eventually happen in a digital world. But for me, 1999 marks a very, very important moment in sort of the history of broadcasting. And this clicker. We're gonna get it. There we go. 1999. What happened in 99? You guys remember the Dreamcast? I love that thing. It was great. That was their last home console, unfortunately. Everyone stood in line for Phantom Menace. Excited, only to be disappointed, maybe? I don't know. And, of course, the end was coming as Y2K was upon us, and we didn't know if the whole world would just sort of implode on itself. And also, Shoutcast was released. And okay, some people know what this is. That's great. This guy worked for that company. Thank you. Thank you. Shoutcast changed my life. Shoutcast, and what you're seeing here was basically our version of a Twitch directory and then our own broadcasting software. I personally use Simplecast. There was a few others, but you know that's how we set up our scenes right there. We added a server, like what was the quality that people were going to hear, and you know, that was it. That was broadcasting. So you know, what was Shoutcast? Like, obviously it was streaming audio. We didn't have video yet. We just had the ability to send an audio signal from our computers to people at home. And keep in mind, this was something that was driven almost entirely by music. You know, you might know of a site called DIFM, Digitally Imported. They pretty much grew on the Shoutcast technology and are still around today, entertaining folks around the world with streaming audio. So, of course, we were the odd folks out. We were like, holy crap, this is cool. And you know what? This is perfect for gaming. We used it in conjunction with IRC. Which, you know, technically you kind of still use today when you're using Twitch chat. But like for us, gamers were already congregating in IRC, in certain chat channels, Enter the Game, QuakeNet, many others. And so all the Shoutcast streams that we were doing from a gaming perspective were also being done in conjunction with IRC, with the chat client. And to me, this was the dawn of two-way interaction. It blew my mind that I could call someone an idiot in chat and that they would be able to respond to me immediately. And I loved that. I also loved it, of course, when people were supportive, when they were cheering too, and you start to get like an early sense of what this was like in sort of, you know, in the early days. And so I've never shown this picture before, but this is my first, actually, let me step back a second. I love to see your guys' pictures. I love it when people post pictures of what their broadcasting setup looks like, of, you know, the green screens and cameras and how they have the screens oriented. And I learn a lot just from looking at these pictures, clever ideas and stuff. This one's not so great. I was a big Pokemon fan back then. Still am. Still am. That was it. I think that thing was like a Celeron 400, and I had a nice like stick mic that I bought from someplace for $10. It sounded like shit. And you know, one of the other cool things about the early days of audio streaming is that we didn't have all the cool graphics that designers are putting together for Twitch broadcasters. We didn't have like cool, you know, notifier alerts that were animated. We didn't really have these things. So we had to separate ourselves in a different way. And that was through audio production. And here's an example of sort of what things looked like back in the day.
That was an electronic signal of some kind.
Check this out.
You are listening to TSN, the Team Sportscast Network. www.tsncentral.com.
That's how we made visuals, through awesome, super talented community members that were able to engineer audio in an unbelievable way. And it's funny because I'm sure you've tuned into a stream before and said, this is not the prettiest graphic set I've ever seen. Or you said, oh my God, these graphics are amazing. Like, these animations are awesome. These transitions are great. Same thing happened back in the day. We were competing sort of channels or networks, and people would go, this organization's production is so much better than this organization's production. But again, it was just interesting to see this already starting to develop in the early days, in the early 2000s. So why is this relevant? It's a good question. And it's relevant to me because in 1999, we were truly beginning to see the birth of a live video platform. We didn't know it, no one knew it, I'm not taking credit, no one is, that's not fair. But you look at what was happening and you really can start to see that we were taking the first steps to reach where we needed to reach today. And what was it about it? So in 1999, as we were moving towards this video platform without realizing, what was happening is we had services like Half-Life TV and GTV for Quake 3. And the super dedicated, hardcore fans would start the shoutcast, log into HLTV, and then they would pause the shoutcast on certain audio cues. Typically, it would be live on 3 for Counter-Strike, or it would be 3, 2, 1 fight for Quake. And then users would pause the shoutcast on their Winamp. And then when the game caught up and the actual GTV or HLTV client began, they would unpause it. And what they got was a live stream that wasn't, exactly what we have today. But again, even back in like the early 2000s, people were already sort of trying to make this happen, driven a lot by esports for sure. We also had score bots in IRC, another way to complement it. So if you couldn't be at a place where you could load up the Counter-Strike client or the Quake client to actually watch it, people would still hang out in IRC and just watch the score bots go by. And that was just as exciting because we didn't have video available to us. But most importantly, and something that I know that each and every one of you can relate to, whether you are a broadcaster or you are a fan, is that this was all driven by the interaction between the broadcaster and the audience. It was the first time that we were able to really have this two-way street, and it wasn't just a one-way communication and maybe sometime you'd get a signal back. This was truly, for me, the start of that initial interaction. So I want to tell a couple of stories because the way this we're going to talk about shoutcast pioneers first. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, you might have seen many of these folks before. D-Man, Joe Miller, myself, Red Eye, Coltrane, Tosspot, Trevelyan, Total Biscuit. These were all people who use Twitch today or are involved in esports that were a part of this shoutcast revolution. I couldn't even put everyone up there, but there's a lot more than you would think. So I would appreciate if you would give these folks a round of applause. I respect the hell out of a lot of these guys because I know that they put as much heart and dedication into it as I did early on. And then in 2002, I started a show called Epileptic Gaming, and it was a video game show. Talk to you a little bit about how I love passion, and I wanted to create a show where I could just say whatever I wanted to say and let people interact in ways that they had been able to in sort of this real-time element. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but this is important to me because this was truly where I learned how to interact with an audience and how to start to grow a community like many of you do or many of you are a part of today. So in 2005, there was a fork in the road. And it was either, do I stop doing live production and focus more on pre-produced content or post-produced content and start to put all my content on YouTube or another video delivery service, or do I actually keep going with this live interaction? And by this time in 2005, I was so addicted to the idea of live interaction that I could not go the other way. And so for that reason, I chose live. And I want to tell you a little bit about sort of what that meant. We did our first live stream ever in 2003 using a video technology that Nullsoft made called Nullsoft Video. And it wasn't the greatest in the world as it was very early technology, but to us it was amazing. We were finally able to send a picture of something out to the internet. And although now we're just like, well, yeah, everyone does that these days, it was groundbreaking back then. And then 2006 rolls around, and between these 3 years, like, video technology is moving in a lot of different directions. You know, we had QuickTime Broadcaster come out, Windows Media Coder, Flash Media Coder finally got released, Brightcove had a live streaming solution, and many other services along the way. But QuakeCon 2006 was important to me because at that point, it was a point in which people wanted me to give up. And in 2006, I went out with the folks from inside the game, and we broadcasted the Quake 3, the Enemy Territory, and the Quake 4, I believe. Well, maybe it wasn't that yet. Competition there. And it went great. We had like 10,000 people watching the tournament all weekend long. And we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like 10,000 people, holy shit, that's so many people. Can't believe it. We're finally getting to share what we love to do with people at home. I got a bill 2 weeks later for the bandwidth costs. And it cost about $18,000. And I cried that day. Holy shit, did I cry that day. Not only because I was like, $18,000, like, oh my God, but because I was being pulled into meetings where people were saying, this isn't economically viable. You can't build a business off of this if it costs you $18,000. Like, it won't happen. So it was like, okay, back to the drawing board. And then something happened. This little site came up. It was called Stick'em. Anyone ever heard of it? A few people. So Stick'em was interesting, right? The first time I saw this site, it was like November 20th, 2006. That's when I logged in for the first time. And I was like, wow, this is a site where teenage boys and girls are just getting together and firing up their webcam and chatting with one another. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this with a few other people, and we're like, you guys, this is just free bandwidth. That's all it is. I didn't see it as a social site. I didn't see it as what they intended it for. I saw it as a way for me to not have to pay $18,000 in order to do what I love. And so I was like, fuck it. This is not what this service is intended for, but you know what? We're going to do it anyway. So in 2006, that's when we started Epileptic Gaming, which ran every day, every weekday for 2 years on Stick'em. And there's, a picture of it right there. Still has the chat, very small window. And this is a screenshot from the very first episode. It was Epileptic Gaming episode 96. And again, to me, this was such a groundbreaking moment because we put forth the first live video show ever focused on video games on the internet, and did it for 2 years. But again, it was all about the focus of community and interaction. So I want to talk a little bit about why this is also funny. I don't want you to forget about the past. Back then, 2006, remember when everything was 4x3? Like, as I was building this, I was like, oh my God, like, it's crazy to think that, like, now we just don't even think about it. But, back in the day, that was it. That's what you had. We had, at max, 500 kilobits per second video and 320 by 240 resolution. Yeah, it didn't look pretty at all. One of the funniest things to me about this early system, and obviously they didn't know, because just imagine a world on Twitch where the users could change their font size. Yeah, exactly. It's like you're having fun. Didn't even have to be in caps. It was just that way. And back then, there was like no one had video archiving. No one. You streamed your stuff and that was it. It was dead. So unless you are doing something on your end to record it, it was just getting lost forever. And of course that's sad because there's a lot of content that never will get to see the light of day again. So then a new challenger appeared. Justin TV. And at first Justin TV was just a platform. It was just it really was just a platform to me. And it was like, is this the platform that's going to fit my needs the most? But even though there were other competitors who came in and out during the time of Justin TV, there was something that set Justin TV apart from everyone else. And that was the fact that they cared. They actually were willing to talk to me. You know, I had been using services where I had just been a faceless individual who happened to deliver content to a platform. But now I was getting phone calls from people at Justin TV. Hey, we love the content that you do. We'd love for you to stream on your site. This is how we're going to support you. And by the way, we love games. And all I had to do was meet a few of these people to go, holy shit, they're not lying. They actually care about what they're focusing on and what they're doing. And you know, to me, we talked a lot about the interaction and sort of the building up to this point, but everything changed when I finally did join Justin TV. In 2007, they became an open platform. And many people might not remember that date or understand the significance behind it. But for me, I think this is the day or the time period in which the gaming community was sort of changed forever. It might not have happened right away, but it certainly was started, you know, to go that way. Yeah, and there we go. Anyone remember this one right here? Obviously, over the course of several years, a lot has changed over Justin TV to Twitch, and now to where we're at today. But as I kind of wrap up this segment, you know, to me, it was so important that I was working with a company that not only cared about me as a broadcaster, but also about the communities that I was building. Because up to that point, that was the one thing that people weren't figuring out. They were just thinking, you know, if we take care of this person or give them a front page placement, you know, on the front page, that's enough. But it's not. And that's why I love Twitch so much. Because it is about the people who use it, whether you are a broadcaster, whether you are a partner, or whether you are actually, you know, just someone who likes to come and view and chat and interact on the platform. And, you know, I again want to thank each of you for coming here today and for spending the next 2 days with us here in San Francisco for TwitchCon. And this story up till now is sort of about the early pioneers, but really this entire story is about you guys, the community, and how you built Twitch to be what it is today. Thank you.
As we grew this company, we eventually realized that we'd hit a peak. We'd hit about as big as Justin TV was going to get as a general purpose platform. And we were trying to figure out where to go from there. The content that got me to actually use my own website was the gaming content.
You know, they always say, like, find the thing you're passionate about and make it your job. And that really was why I think we were pushing for it so hard.
And so we started just growing the gaming content on Justin TV. And it rapidly became clear that we'd hit a chord, we struck a chord with people, and that just by focusing on that content and by focusing on what we were building towards the gaming community, we saw a huge amount of growth in that gaming content, so we created Twitch.
They went through all of the potential names that fit under a certain criteria, and what they were left with were two options. The first one, Twitch, great option. The second one, Zarth, with an X. Zarth, what the hell does that even mean?
We started coming up with some stupid stories around what this was. It was like Zarth was a planet and there were a bunch of people playing games on this planet. It was like really stupid. That was what we did.
I think we would have launched, if we hadn't come up with an alternative, we might have launched as Zarth. And as fond as I am of the Zarth name, I just don't think Zarth.com would have had quite the same punch.
But we kept going through and we kept going through, you know, what is it that makes a good gamer? Well, you know, fast twitch muscles. That sort of, I think, was kind of the inception point of the word Twitch.
Thank God it's Twitch and we're not here at ZarthCon, because I just can't even, that's a parallel universe I don't want to live in.
The Twitch community is a thing unlike I've ever seen before in my career. It's a thing that was created by the community. It was not created by us.
How we find new features is we look out into the community and we ask, what are people already doing? How are they hacking around our system? And how how can we support that on the platform directly?
We're constantly collecting feedback, thoughts on everything from a product decision to a product design decision, all the way down to policy decisions. So we have a very open conversation regularly with the community, and that dictates a lot of what we do.
We listen to the community. We want to know what we're doing wrong, what we can fix, what we're good at would be nice to hear on occasion as well, but not the most important thing. We need to know what more needs to be built and how to build it. And the community is the best place to get that information from. So we try to make that like the core design principles. How do we get that information? What is that information, and how do we prioritize with it?
Something that's really, truly amazing about Twitch and communities is the evolution of the communities into other branches. We've seen things grow like music and creatives. You're seeing people code on stream and draw on stream.
No one at Twitch ever said, all right, community, here's your tool, and this is what you can do with it. Instead, it was, here's your tool, show us what you can do. And I think one of the most prolific occurrences of this on Twitch is definitely Twitch Plays Pokemon. This was the first time that someone said, hey, here's a game, you play it. Not me, you play it. And not just you, everyone plays it.
People are just watching this, just completely fascinated. And I think that's when people are like, what is this thing? NPR talked about it, my parents even saw it, which I still don't really understand what we do.
That was an exciting week at Twitch because it was one of those weeks where it's like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just scratching the surface. Like, this guy blew us away with something that we didn't even think of in a million years someone would do or be able to do on Twitch. And it is those innovations that lead to smarter content, new content that constantly has us dropping our jaws here at Twitch.
We were completely baffled. I mean, I actually thought that we'd sort of just broken the internet. Something went wrong. But I think the significance of Twitch Plays Pokemon for us was, man, like, we can't ever predict what our audience is going to do. Like, we really, if we don't keep listening, we would never have come up with something like that. But we can create the platform that does.
The other reasons why Twitch Plays Pokemon are important in the history of Twitch is that this one single event taught us in ways that would be very difficult for us to test how our system stacks up against hundreds of thousands of people chatting at the same time. Because now we have esports events that have hundreds of thousands of people watching and cheering inside the chat. Had Twitch Played Pokemon never happened, I don't know that we would have been ready for a full frontal chat assault of craziness when that first major event hit.
Why people love Twitch, I think it's because we built it a lot with the community.
Anytime I think you create a space where people can really connect, where people can get to know each other, can join and feel like they're part of a larger community, you get some real magic.
When we talk about Twitch, we're not actually talking about ourselves. We really are talking about the community. We think of Twitch as everybody that, spends time on the site and the broadcasters, the partners, their fans, the viewers.
I think about Twitch right now, and I think about the bond that it has with the community and the brand loyalty that people had. At that point, I was just loyal to the platform that was serving my needs, but it was at that point where I was like, wow, this is something different. Like, this is a group of people that cares deeply about these broadcasters and about the people that watch them. And for me, that was like a big changing point in terms of like my loyalty to Twitch.
I think there's a lot of value when the broadcasters are brought together. It's not just about the friendships they created. It's a lot about networking. So they bring each other opportunities, sometimes collaboration. You've actually seen that evolve. Gamers can monetize and make a living doing what they love and what they're passionate about. And that's what really intrigued me about Twitch and why I decided to work here.
Being a place where you can be a broadcaster, you can come in and you can build a community. You can start with 10 viewers and get 50 and get 500 and get 5,000 and get 50,000. And you can build your community up from the ground up.
The thing that really just grabs you, that makes you feel the impact and the importance of what you're doing is just personal messages, just an email, and oftentimes the simplest thing. It's an email that says, hey, I watched your show last night, really enjoyed it. and that's the whole message. That's all the reinforcement you need, right? That's so wonderful, because when I'm streaming, I'm alone in a room, and a viewership number goes up and down. It can be hard to know exactly the impact you're having on one person. But some of the things that touch you the most, and this is hard to talk about without getting emotional. People who watch the show, and I'm pretty goofy. I say pretty ridiculous things on the show. I find it to be a lot of fun. And have someone say, that they thought that they were going to die, and they watched the show and they felt okay.
We have people that will sit on a channel page and chat with each other even when the content's not live. And that means you've created something very different, right? It is a true social experience where people are connecting with each other, not temporarily, but for very long-lasting relationships.
Part of the reason why these stories are just so emotional for me is that Twitch is not a broadcaster sends it out and then walks away. It is not even really a video platform. It's a community platform.
Why TwitchCon? Why are we here?
It is the community. It is these innovative minds who approach content from a different perspective, that they are the ones that are shaping the future of Twitch. We're just making sure that their content gets delivered to the people that want to watch it.
So the future of Twitch is going to look like a ton more new ways to communicate with each other on the site.
We believe that everything we do should be driven by what broadcasters need, what the community deserves, what it needs, and that's like a really important part of what we do.
Maybe that's something that the community doesn't realize enough and that we don't come out enough and say, but like the amazement that we share and feel here at Twitch every single time something new comes.
Thanks to the community for making Twitch what it is today. We hope we can continue to create some really cool stuff with you guys.
At the end of the day, Twitch created a platform, and the users taught us how to use it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud honor to bring to the stage co-founder and CEO of Twitch, Emmett Shear.
Shear, co-founder and CEO of Twitch. Welcome to our very first TwitchCon. I'm incredibly excited to share this with you. The idea for this event came about when our awesome broadcasters came by the office. As huge Twitch viewers ourselves, it was amazing to get to meet the personalities from behind the streams. So we thought, why should we be the only ones who actually get to meet them in person? We wanted to share that experience with all of you, the entire Twitch community. The heart and soul of TwitchCon is the same thing as the heart and soul of Twitch, the online service. It's the broadcasters and the viewers coming together and making a community. Probably only slightly less copy-paste-erino here than online. It has been a privilege to watch Twitch grow over the years, to see so many communities blossom and come into their own, to watch you guys coin memes, to be continually surprised by the next creative idea that pops up. You have done things with Twitch that we never imagined when we were first working on the platform. Thank you all for being part of this with us. At any given time, there are usually about 550,000 of you watching content on Twitch today. At peak, though, that number soars to more than 2.1 million viewers, which is more than double our peak last year. On an individual basis, we've also seen a big increase in daily usage. On average, each of you now watch over an hour and a half per day. However, average people watch 4 hours of TV per day, which means we expect all you slackers to start putting in an extra 2.5 hours starting now. All those viewers aren't coming from any one country. Twitch viewers hail from all over the globe. Whether you live in Japan or Brazil, we want to support you on our platform. We now have 22 points of presence across 17 regions, and we're adding more every day. Our platform supports 28 locales, so whatever language you speak, you're going to be able to use Twitch to connect with gamers around the world. That growth would not be possible without our broadcasters. There are 1.7 million of you creating content on the platform every month. Our partner program now includes an elite 12,297 broadcasters, 50% more than last year, supported by 40,000 amazing moderators. Without our broadcasters, there would be no Twitch. We are blessed to have you on our service, bringing your humor, bringing your sick plays, bringing your insights and your interests. Together, you've broadcast more than 7.5 billion minutes of content. That is so much video that if you started watching in 14,000 BC, you still would not be done, and you would be falling behind. What makes Twitch more than just passive entertainment, though, is the chat. Chat is what makes Twitch interactive. Chat is what makes us a community. 28.8 million of you have sent 6.1 billion chat messages so far this year. And how could we talk about chat without mentioning your love for capital? The emoticon that has changed the way we troll. 665 kappas per minute, 959,290 kappas per day, and 29,178,431 kappas per month. You, the Twitch community, has become a force to be reckoned with. Together, you've defeated every version of Pokemon, you've made betting salty, and you've given back to communities outside of Twitch. In fact, you've raised $15 million for charity in the last 12 months. Helping over 40 different organizations, of which I believe 8 of these charities are actually even at Twitchcon this weekend. What you've accomplished as a community has been incredible. Finding new ways to enable you to accomplish even more is our guiding light at Twitch. So now, in that light, I have some news I'd like to share with all of you. You're a diverse bunch. PC gamers, console gamers, mobile gamers, and we want Twitch to be everywhere you are. When we launched Twitch, we were web only. Since then, we've brought the Twitch viewing experience to iOS, to Android, to Xbox 360 and Xbox One, Fire TV, NVIDIA Shield, Chromecast, and Roku. Whatever platform you use, we want to make it easy for you to watch, broadcast, and chat. Today, we're excited to announce one more way to watch Twitch. We started our partnership with PlayStation nearly 2 years ago with an integration focused on easy broadcasting from the platform. Together, we launched a PlayStation 4 feature that simplified the broadcasting experience. All you had to do was press share, and all your friends on PSN could find and watch you. Last month, we had over 500,000 of you share your PlayStation 4 gameplay to Twitch. We've seen some awesome content from broadcasters like Cam Gears and Versus the Stream, and we think it remains one of the best ways to share your game. But we're not done with this yet. This fall, we will be launching a robust Twitch app for you on PlayStation. We're bringing the full Twitch experience to you with all the games and the broadcasters you love across all your PlayStation devices. You can use our new PlayStation apps to watch, chat, and interact with anyone broadcasting on Twitch. We're bringing easy access to all the channels and games you follow that are live right now. Just like our website, you'll also be able to watch all the videos, and for the PlayStation 4, we will have full chat support with all your favorite emoticons. Our Vita, PS3, PS4 apps will be released later this fall. Stay tuned to our blog for more details. We've talked a lot about how chat is the way communities form on Twitch. Chat is our public square. We recently released a feature called Whispers. which lets you message anyone on Twitch one-on-one and build new relationships and friendships. Sometimes you don't want to go out to a party with someone you just want to go out and have a phone call with one of your friends. Whispers has been a popular feature, but it has a flaw. Your critical message can be lost in a sea of raise your daughters chat spam. I'm incredibly excited to share with you this new update to our Whispers product. We've separated Whispers out from the main flow of chat to make them much harder to miss. Whispers now also support full history of your conversation, and your conversations follow you around the site. So browse with confidence, knowing that you won't miss a single message. Oh, and by the way, it's also fully available on mobile, and available no matter where you are in the app on mobile. That means you can start a conversation on the web and then take it to go with you with your phone. One thing I heard a lot from my mom growing up was, it's the little things. It's all well and good to make grand plans and aim big, but often the things that make us the happiest are those little things. So in that spirit, I want to bring to you a bunch of little but important things that we think will make your Twitch experience just that little bit more fun. First, we are building a full HTML5 player. Some of you already have access to the new player with HTML controls, but that's just the start. By Q2 2016, we're bringing you the full HTML5 player. Say goodbye to Flash forever. The same video, just delivered a little bit better. Second, we're creating customizable thumbnails for your past broadcasts and highlights. We know you broadcasters care about how your videos are presented, and we want to let you make them look great. We think this will make browsing videos just a little bit more fun. And last but not least, we're going to be improving our search. You'll be able to find games easily, you'll be able to search past videos with all of their tags and all of their metadata, and we're generally pouring a lot more of love into our search engine. We hope that you find over time that your search results are just a little bit more relevant. Live broadcasting is what Twitch is all about today. But we want to help you turn your channel into a true 24/7 community where your fans can come together and watch content anytime, even though a dedicated streamer has to sleep sometimes. Welcome to the world of playlists. This is going to be a game changer for your channel. Just create a playlist of your best pre-recorded content with our simple drag and drop interface. You can use archived live broadcasts, or you can use highlights, and you can easily reorder and remove videos. When you activate it, we'll start streaming it to your channel live whenever you're not live yourself broadcasting with a new stream. Anyone who comes to your channel while the playlist is running will get the same synchronized experience because we'll actually be restreaming it live for you. Today, there are around 15,000 channels live on Twitch at any given time. With playlists, we believe there can be millions of broadcasters live at once. Even if you produce only 1 hour of content per month, you can have a place for your community to come and congregate and watch that content together. Oh, and of course, if you're building playlists of your videos, you'd want to be able to upload new ones, right? Bam. Coming in early 2016, we're launching uploads. That's right. For the first time, you'll be able to use a simple web interface to upload your awesome videos to Twitch without having to stream them live first. Live streaming content is amazing for esports, it's amazing for interactive streams, it's amazing for just chilling out with your friends. But sometimes you want to make a music video about going face, or pull out the top 10 moments from the last week of streaming. And we think Twitch can be an amazing place for you to share those gaming moments too. Thank you again for coming to the first ever TwitchCon. Years from now, we'll all be able to say we were here. I look forward to meeting many of you over the next 2 days, and I hope that you all enjoy TwitchCon as much as I intend to. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, one last time. A round of applause for Emmett Shear.